Emelia walked into a new room that she hadn't seen before. The other students followed close behind.
Wow, it's massive. What is this room?
It's a virtual reality room. I call it the cyberverse. Now put your goggles on and make ready for a VR adventure.
The students gladly put their VR headsets on.
The creatures we are going to visit today lived in the galaxy long ago and they decided to go fully virtual.
What does that mean?
Well, they made such wonderful virtual worlds and they spent so much time in them that they stopped going back to the real world. Here is their dwelling. Ready? Oops, I forgot the most important part.
She left and returned soon after with a tray of chocolate chip cookies.
They like my cookies.
Cookies?
Gil asked, eyeing them hungrily.
I've got more for when we return, Jill.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The kids cheered.
Headsets secured.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Then down the rabbit hole we go.
She pressed her favorite button. Emelia saw the world turn black and then a wonderfully colorful world appeared. Tiny hot air balloons and blimps and airplanes flew across the sky. They were standing on a green field and there were tiny houses in the distance. Then a number of extremely tiny aliens came over. Emelia realized suddenly that they were very angry for some reason. Ms. Lagrange placed the tray of cookies on the ground so they could reach it.
She brought cookies.
After finishing their cookies, the aliens had full bellies and started burping. It was as if the cookies made them happy and calm.
Welcome back, Ms. Lagrange.
One of the aliens said in an extremely high-pitched voice.
Cookies were delicious as usual, but we normally don't let visitors in our world.
Thank you. These are my students.
Students? Are they smart?
The alien looked at them very suspiciously.
They are the smartest.
Ms. Lagrange said proudly.
Good, then maybe they can help. We have run into a serious problem that could break this world in two. Or more accurately in four.
What seems to be the problem?
We want to build a new tower in our downtown. But the community is divided on what material we should use to build the tower.
I see. Why don't I let my students help you with this important task?
The alien looked at each student thoughtfully.
I suppose we can trust them. Do you have any cookies on you? I might let you all in if you do.
Emelia saw Ms. Lagrange pass her a cookie and she offered it to the alien.
Oh, yes.
The alien took the cookie and hid it in a bag he carried on his back. They walked into the town center and the local residents were arguing with each other.
What are they arguing about?
We think the tower should be built out of popsicle sticks,
argued the leader from the first group.
We disagree with the silly popsicle stick lovers. Plastic straws would be much stronger and more flexible.
We think these two groups of people have lost their minds. Obviously, playing cards would be best for building a tower.
Outrageously silly these other three groups. We believe that metal paper clips would be best,
argued the leader from the fourth group.
I see. This looks like a teachable moment, children. I propose we do an experiment to prove which material is best.
The class pumped their fists in excitement.
But first, we'll have to go over fundamentals. Every proper experiment starts with a problem like this. We are confronted with a very testable question, a very specific one that has to be tested in order to discover the answer. If you don't test it, you cannot know the answer. In this case, what might that question be?
Can you build a tower out of different materials?
That is the right direction, Alzar. But think about it. Let's find the best question to settle this debate. Choose between, can the tower be built out of the different materials, or which type of material would be best for building the tower?
Which one would be best?
Let's record it in our tablets.
Ms. Lagrange snapped her fingers and a tablet appeared in each student's hand.
What type of material would be best for building a tower capable of holding the aliens?
I know what comes next. We learned it in science lab last year.
Do tell us then, Emelia.
Your hypothesis.
And what exactly is a hypothesis?
Gil asked, while drinking from his muscle protein shake.
I believe it is a prediction, right, Ms. Lagrange?
Precisely, correct. However, I prefer to define it as an educated guess that answers the testable question. Before we make our hypothesis. Gil, what is it called?
Jill's eyes widened as he struggled to pronounce it.
Hypothesis.
Emelia leaned over and whispered.
Hypothesis, Ms. Lagrange.
Good. Before we do that, we should think back to our prior experience and do some research about this question. What do we know about the different materials that might help us answer the question?
Amelia remembered back to her trip to New York City. She remembered those giant buildings and bridges, and they were all built out of metal. She used the Cosmicon Academy's internet, which is called Galactic Net, and sure enough she found out that metal is stronger than wood. Then she remembered her father trying to build a castle for his anime action figures in the front room. He was almost finished when her puppy crashed into it and all the cards fell. That couldn't be a good material for a tall tower. Cards were too flimsy. What about straws? In her experience, she had never seen a tower built out of plastic.
Now it's time to form our hypothesis.
All the students announced their hypothesis. To Amelia's surprise, each student hypothesized something different.
I predict that the playing cards will be best for building a tower, because I enjoy a challenge.
He flexed his muscles. Olza stepped forward.
Of course, the plastic straws will be best for building towers because they are tall.
I think you all made good points, but it seems to me like the metal paper clips will be best for making towers.
Ms. Lagrange interrupted.
Use the form. If we use the paper clips, wooden popsicle sticks, plastic straws, and paper playing cards to build a tower, then the blank will be best for holding the most weight. Make your hypothesis now.
Emelia typed in her hypothesis on her lab sheet. She was quite sure that the iron paper clips would be the best.
I'm not sure, but my hypothesis is if we use the paper clips, wooden popsicle sticks, plastic straws, and playing cards to build a tower, then the wooden popsicle sticks will be best for holding the most weight.
Impressed now? My students rock. Now we move on to the next phase. Setting up the experiment. There are 3 variables to plan out for any experiment: the independent, dependent, and control variables.
I just thought of a way we can remember them.
Go ahead.
IDC. We have a sassy saying on my planet. It goes like this. I don't care. The 3 words in the saying start with the letters I, D, C. Each letter stands for independent variable, dependent variable, and control variable.
The 4 classmates all clapped and agreed that they liked it very much.
A very nice mnemonic device. Let's use it from now on. The independent variable is the part of the experiment that we change. It is also what is being tested. What are we changing in this experiment?
We are changing the material for building a tower.
Correct. Mark it down, kiddos. We are going to test to see which type of material is best for the tower. The dependent variable is not so difficult to find. It is the results that we measure and record from the tests we conduct. So, in this experiment we'll test 4 different materials to see which one is best for building a tower. The results of those tests will be the dependent variable. The results are dependent upon the changes we make with the materials. See?
Yes, ma'am.
The last one is the control variable. The control is the part of the experiment that we keep the same. In this case, we are going to test different materials to see which one is the best for building towers. We should keep other things the same, such as the number of pieces. Let's just use a set number like 20 popsicle sticks, 20 paper clips, and so on. It would not be a control if you allowed 20 popsicle sticks, but only 10 paper clips. Does anyone know why it's important to have control variables in experiments?
They are kept the same to ensure that the results that we get are caused by the independent variable and nothing else.
100% correct. This way, we know that the control variables did not cause the results that we measure, but rather they are due to the changes we make in the independent variable. Can you think of some other things that we will have to keep the same?
We need something to hold the pieces together while we build a tower.
We could use glue.
I'll hold mine up with muscle.
Ulza facepalmed and shook his head.
I'm sure you could, gel, but we need to all use the same thing. I like Ulza's plan. Glue it is. We will use the same amount of glue then.
Ms. Lagrange clapped her hands, and the 4 students found their materials on tables.
Begin building your towers.
The 4 students, with their helpers, began constructing their towers. But the local residents were highly competitive and there were multiple attempts to sabotage the other team's towers. Emelia watched as the residents chased each other off. Gil had to hold his materials and the table above his head to keep it away from the saboteurs. Nonetheless, the towers were completed after much hard work from each of the students and their helpers. Ms. Lagrange inspected each one and said,
They look amazing, kiddos. Now let's try each tower and see how many residents can fit in them.
The tiny aliens climbed up into each tower until it came crashing down. The card tower held 4 aliens. Gil quickly face-palmed. The popsicle tower held 20 aliens before crashing down. Mika pumped her fist in excitement. The plastic straw tower held 15 aliens before crashing down. Olza shook his head in disappointment. The paperclip tower held 25 aliens before crashing down. Emelia claimed,
My tower won.
Not quite, dear. Remember, experiments take 3 or more trials to prove.
What are trials?
They are the number of times you conduct the same experiment. We just completed 1 trial.
So we have to do 2 more.
I'm afraid so. You don't want to make conclusions based on insufficient data, do you? That would be most unscientific and unsafe.
I suppose not, Ms. Lagrange.
The 4 students repeated the process of building the towers, measuring how many aliens they could hold, and then recording the results in their tablets. Ms. Lagrange had each of the students present their results to the residents. Gil read out his results first as he pointed to the results on the tables.
The paper cards tower held 4 aliens for the first trial, then 6 on the second and 5 on the third.
Mika stepped up next.
The wooden popsicle stick towers did well. The first held 20 residents, the second held 22, and the third held 19.
Olza stepped forward and cleared his throat.
Sadly, the plastic straw towers did not perform like I predicted. The first held 15 aliens, the second held 16, and the last one held 17.
Emelia came last.
The paperclip tower did really well. The first trial held 25 aliens, the second held 24 aliens, and the last one held 26 aliens.
It took the leader of the locals a long time to quiet down the different groups.
So, what is the conclusion? As you can see, they want an answer as soon as possible.
Ms. Lagrange looked at her students, waiting.
You do it, Emelia.
Mika suggested. The others agreed. Emelia stepped onto a stage in front of the locals, all crowded around her.
We conclude that my prediction was correct. The best material to build a tower with is metal paper clips.
Ms. Lagrange shut off the simulation and Emelia and the others found themselves in the VR room.
Homework assignments can be found on your tablets. The second competition is nearing, and you'll need to prepare for it. Well done today. See you tomorrow, my dearies.
Later that evening, Emelia studied her experiment vocabulary, knowing that Ms. Lagrange might quiz them in the morning.
Testable question, a question that must be tested in order to be answered. Hypothesis, an educated guess that answers the testable question. Planning the experiment, I don't care. A stands for independent variable, the part of the experiment that is changed and tested. D stands for dependent variable, the results you measure while testing the independent variable. C stands for control variable, the parts of the experiment that are kept the same to ensure that the results you get are caused by the independent variable. Trials, the amount of times you conduct the experiment.